This is what happens when I have to substitute host, so you don't get a fun bullpen intro. You get you get a generic countdown
I was
because we
gonna
don't.
say that was weird. I guess
It
that's what
was
happens when you don't have Brahma's song.
no he had because that media asset is in EV and he was on the road, so I wasn't gonna be like, can you somehow get that video file over to me? I was like, we'll make it work. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And so, welcome to a substitute hosted episode of the Bullpen. Here,
Ah, you guys all got to put up with me this week. Yay!
hey, we got people who are happy about it. Darren M. So let's just look who we got in the chat real quick.
I don't think
F-
anybody's happy about it, but I bet they're all
C,
okay with it. I'll go with okay with it.
Henry, Davina. We already saw Darren. JB, Bride of Slender is watching because you're here. E Clay, Southern
Yeah, it's a
Belle.
rule. She has to watch my shows.
That's very supportive.
If she
Glad
doesn't pad out my numbers, we're gonna have a problem.
putting up those rookie numbers. So, anyway, welcome to the bullpen. This is the 53rd episode. Brahma, as you can see, as we mentioned, is not here this week. He was unfortunately on travel and not able to do it. And since we had not had an episode last week because of the 4th of July holiday weekend, I wanted to make sure, and I stepped in and said I'd guest hosts fully this week so that we could keep the bullpen going, because YouTube especially doesn't like when you take multiple weeks off from your planned time slot. So I
Joke's
did.
on you, Jeremiah. That's a picture of me at Magic Camp, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, look at that. Thanks, Bride, watching the show anyway. So I do want to say to everybody watching right now, please make sure, if you could, hit the thumbs up button, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. This is on mainly broadcasting out of Brahma's channel. He does have memberships. He does have super chats, so we will acknowledge and bring those up as you do them, if you want to, if you can. Go ahead and feel free to drop those and we'll get to them. But otherwise, we're going to be talking about the last week in politics. And it was a pretty interesting week. And as in the bullpen description, it was probably, unfortunately, from a polling and just optic standpoint, might have been Trump's worst week with messaging in his second term. And I'm gonna
Yeah, but
even
it's just one membership. It's just one issue that everybody's kind of pissed off about, though. So,
yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, as I was telling you earlier, it seems
Oh,
like
thanks,
America's
people.
collective memory is that of a goldfish lately. So, I'm sure everyone will have forgotten this in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, and it was Dan Crane who got this gifted membership from Deeple. So thank you for bringing that up. Two issues.
Two issues. What was the other one?
I mean, as far as I know, there was only really one that has been. I mean, I guess if you subset them, but I mean, obviously Epstein is the main
Yeah, I
issue.
thought that was the whole issue
Yeah,
this
yeah.
week.
I wasn't aware of a second that had really percolated up. But if Southern Belle throws it in there, I'll be
Yeah,
glad to
put it
try
in
to
the
address.
chat. We'll talk about it.
Oh, sending weapons to Ukraine. To me,
Yeah,
here's
that's kind of a non-starter. We always send weapons to
yeah,
people.
it's this is where I'd separate them. Like, sending weapons to Ukraine could be viewed from a putting pressure on Putin to try to make a peace deal perspective, because Putin's winning and taking in the context of maybe not the PR and the world press angle, but Vladimir Putin is taking more territory than he had before. So that is the Slender knows the classic sense of winning a war is
Yeah.
taking and holding territory, and in that context, Putin's winning. So if
I
you're
mean,
trying,
that is winning a war.
Yeah.
That's not even the classic sense. That is winning a war.
yeah. So if you want to get Putin to come to the peace table, and he is more than willing to just slowly through war of attrition take and take and take more chunks of Ukraine, you've got to do something to try to maintain some kind of pressure on him, where even though he might win in the long run, the price for it would be enough that he wouldn't want to pay it and would go for peace. Because that's, in the end, the only time people sue for peace is when both of them are ready to, for reasons, be willing to get out of a conflict. People who are just whole cloth winning don't sue for peace, right? They don't sit down at the peace talks. there's no incentive. The Epstein files, on the other hand, were a campaign theme. Like, Trump brought it up often on the campaign trail. It was something that was allegedly ongoing, and and this is where I'm gonna kind of add a little nuance. I think Pam Bondi specifically was the one who hyped what was coming out, where she kept talking about all this information on her desk, which per the thumbnail over here, right? And she's lighting things on fire, on her desk on fire. That's
Yeah, it
that's
almost
where I think
feels like a repeat of the Adam Schiff thing, right? Like, oh, I've got all this information, I've got all this stuff, and it's all gonna come to light.
which is why you want to so there's whether it's
Do any other networks want to interview me? I've got a lot of things to talk about.
yeah, so in politics, in business, in pretty much all walks of life, you want to be someone who under promises and over delivers.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
In this case, Pam Bondi over promised and then did not deliver anything.
Yeah.
So that's where I think, and Trump is taking a hit on it. So I'm going to show, and I kind of in our pre-gaming, I shared this with Slender. This is the daily tracking poll for Trump through Rasmussen, who is one of the more accurate pollsters when it comes to Trump. And this line right here is where you want to pay attention. So this was July 2nd. This is the strongly approved number. So these would be the core MAGA supporters, right? He always, 37 to 40% of is the super high hardcore range. So going July 2nd, which was, end of last week, going into July 4th, he was sitting at 37. And it was over the weekend that the news broke that they were effectively closing down the Epstein investigation. Like, oh, nothing more to see here, boys. It's done. That came out of, by the way, that wasn't Trump who said that. It was the DOJ statement via Pam Bondi. And in the week that follows, you can see this straight downward line.
Yeah.
Almost. In his strong approval. We're running into this
problem where it's like, okay, but you said all these things were in the files and we still haven't seen them. What changed? Right? Like, yeah. Why did they suddenly become... Like, this is a completely different story than what they were saying for the past 6 months.
Exactly. And this is why I'm of the opinion that the main problem was Pam Bondi for the last 2-3 months, like you said, like Adam Schiff. She was the Adam Schiff in this scenario, going on Fox News specifically.
The attention she was getting, so she started making the story more and more bombastic because it gets those ratings and it gets her those calls back from Fox News and MSNBC and CBS and ABC and all the others.
Yeah, and there's been reports, there was reporting from Julie Kelly that Dan Bongino was threatening to, like, he didn't show up to work Friday, gave a threat to resign because he was so annoyed and unhappy with how Pam Bondi was doing this, and made the classic "she needs to go or I'll go" threat, which, by the way, is never a good threat. You never win in that scenario.
Yeah, but he's not doing this for the money, so it's not like him going is a loss for him. It's still a moral victory.
Yeah.
Like, he wins either way. This is a win-win for him.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. That's why, again, this is for me. This is why I labeled this Trump's worst week, because not, and it's not because this is necessarily an actual, like, and I think this is where Trump is getting unhappy with the coverage about it, because from Trump's perspective, bear in mind, Trump is actually very insulated at this point from messaging from the MAGA base, right? He's not necessarily on social media all the time and doing all that. He's looking at, things from a presidential level. He's like, I just clocked the big, beautiful bill win. We're getting all these other wins. I'm putting tariffs, like tariffs are coming in. And we had, and I don't know if you saw this, Slender, the first budget surplus month in like 25 goddamn years, where we had a 20 plus $billion surplus in collections, and it was all from tariffs
Yeah.
because we collected 27 billion in tariffs.
Yeah, but let's look at this like, like a corporation. Trump understands corporations, right? We're the board of investors, right? And we expect to see returns on our investment. And as far as the FBI DOJ goes right now, we're not seeing the returns that we were expecting to see. So we need the CEO to step in and fix this shit.
That's where I'm gonna. Yeah, this is where the DOJ needs some attention, and I think again Trump missed the mark when he put out his long statement on it, where he. Yeah, released the that was Pam Bondi. We know it's Pam Bondi. So Trump released the long statement praising Pam Bondi and the work she's doing. And look, two things can be true at the same time. One, the DOJ is doing a lot of good work trying to fight in court all these challenges to what Trump's administration is doing across the country. They're constantly in court because, as we know, there's lawfare going on trying to stop everything he's doing.
Well, we a lot of corrupt judges in this country.
Now, that being said, the fact that these people are in court fighting those good fights does not let Pam Bondi off the hook for creating a self-inflicted wound, going out there on Fox News, playing Adam Schiff for 3 months, 3 months, hyping up. And as you said, Slender, she was loving the attention. So every time it was like a fishing story. Right now, this time there's this many files in the Epstein stuff that I've got on my desk, and they're gonna get And then
suddenly there are none.
Then suddenly there's none. This is where Pam Bondi's a problem. Pam Bondi is about hyping Pam Bondi, and to the extent that she does what Trump says, that's good, because Trump needed an attorney general who was going to actually, back his agenda. But the problem is Pam Bondi is also acting in her own interest.
Law enforcement, an executive level law enforcement branch, though. Like, if you lose your integrity, you got nothing. Nothing. And she sacrificed her integrity for attention. Like, she's got to go. Goodbye. We can never trust a word you say ever again. Like, you've lost the only thing that no, just get rid of her. Moving on. Somebody else needs to take over.
Yeah, and then there's like this is from someone who in the YouTube space is about as pro-Trump as anybody, who's Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, right? He's been livid with how this whole thing went off. And I use that as an example of he's done, streams for almost a decade now, pro-Trump streams, always talking about Trump, Trump, Trump. And he was annoyed with how this happened. So I think this is, again...
I think he's wrong.
Well, I think this is a message. This is a part where it's back, or what he's making a point of, and what the messaging is backfiring, where it's the Streisand
No,
effect.
I agree with everything he said, except for this isn't going away. They're just gonna keep fucking pretending like it's all good, and like I said, the unfortunate fact of the matter is, some new thing will come up here in a couple of weeks, and everybody will forget, and I don't know how they forget, but they do. They do. They move on to the next fun topic.
Well, I can tell you what's going to come up Monday is because the stock futures market is projecting right now, I think it's around 200 points down, which would translate probably to around 3 to 400 in, once the market actually opens.
Right.
And the market is reacting to Trump over the weekend release some additional tariff notices, specifically to the European Union, where he's slapping like a 35% tariff rate on them.
That's good.
No, wait, no. European Union's 30, Canada is 35% effective August 1st, and he's saying no, no more delays. And just like always, we've seen this show now. Whenever Trump talks about slapping tariffs on and Mexico, he's also doing Mexico. Good for them.
I'm okay with all these things.
Yeah. So the market is reacting like it usually does, where they're upset because remember the multinational corporations are not everyday average Americans. What's good for everyday average Americans isn't necessarily good for multinational corporations, right? As an example, Slender, like say Trump puts a 50% tariff on China, right? Like we know that he made the deal with China, so it's not going to be that. But if you're like Levi's jeans, right, and you sell jeans for $100 because they do some places,
Yeah.
when you don't, the tariff isn't based on what you sell the number to the consumer at, it's what you're paying to import it. So if Levi's jeans only pays $10 to import jeans, what does a 50% tariff make that jeans cost now? $15. Like that's what the tariff, would be $5 as the tariff. So now their costs rise to $15, and they're still turning around and selling it at $100. So it's not like that they're not making profit, it's that their profit margin drops because of the tariff.
Yeah, that has no effect on me though.
Eric K with the breaking news. DOJ Pam Bondi and FBI Kash Patel shocking new evidence. Epstein's Island was just a place for kids to meet business heads, celebrities, and politicians. Just trust us on this. Yeah. So, but
Sounds
I think
about right.
this will be the headline for tomorrow because I think the market is going to go down way more than 200 points. Once that automated share trading starts coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I put this? There is a non-zero possibility that Trump announced this and dropped this in order to change the narrative, even though it might look bad for a short term, knowing that these short-term stock market bad days don't really stay very long, but it'll immediately shift the headline.
It'll get everybody talking about the economy again.
Yep. Epstein's Island is the new Neverland, maybe. It's like, yeah. So don't be surprised, don't be shocked, and don't be worried if the market has a drop, because it is basically baked into the cake that it's going to drop right now. So be ready for that. Because he's and this is all part of the thing. We need to do this stuff to actually change our orientation on the economy. Now, this was an interesting headline though, Slender. I don't know if you saw this. There's a new vector of attack against Powell, who's the head of the Federal Reserve.
Okay.
So Trump is not, supposed to unilaterally be able to fire the Fed chairman, although that's debatable because he's supposed to be an independently appointed the president appoints him to a 10-year term. But the president has been pointing out Trump doesn't like Jerome Powell, and instead of having to go to court to fight him on just firing him, They did a $2.5 billion renovation of the Fed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that seems like an awful lot of money to renovate a building, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so Trump has been hammering that point home for a while. And so there's a lot of scuttlebutt that he's going to use that as a reason to fire him for cause. That he was, like letting the budget for this renovation get out of hand. That he was
Dude, what does Trump know about building renovation? Oh, wait.
exactly. So this is why. So this is the headline: is that the chairman of the National Economic Council said that yes, the president absolutely has the right under the current rules to fire for cause. So that might be, and Trump has been railing about how Jerome Powell has not lowered interest rates. Now, Slender, you're aware of, that our interest rates are awful high right now.
Oh, 100%.
So, so Powell keeps saying that because there possibly could be maybe inflation after the tariffs, he won't lower interest rates even though there's not inflation. Trump has been rightly very upset with that.
I mean, I don't know. I've been lucky. I've managed to kind of, dance my way around the fluctuations in the interest rates in such a way that they haven't hit me too hard. But I'll tell you what, my house that I bought back in like 2008, I missed that 3% APR.
I know. I I have my current house is 2.9.
Oh, you got lucky.
Oh, got it in we locked it in the end of 2020.
Yeah, I managed to lock in at like 4, I think 4 or 4.5, and it was still going up. I was like, we got we gotta get this thing before we can never buy a house again. And we were getting
So
real close.
let's see what's the current mortgage rates on Navy Fed right now are for a 30-year fixed rate 6.3.
Yep.
If you're rate subject to change, that means if you're the highest qualified. So you're probably going to be a little higher than that.
Yep. Although I did just get a personal loan the other day to get a new water system put in, and luckily I have been working on my credit so well that I got that lowest possible APR, which was 8.99.
Nice. That's not bad for a personal loan.
No, and I got 2 years to pay it off, so not bad.
Now, this is a question. Is Brahma on vacation at Epstein Island Jr.? I don't know where he went on vacation specifically.
Brahma has his own island. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Hello, lovely Sherry. He's not here today, unfortunately. But the appreciation for your icon on replay will definitely be there for Brahma when he sees it.
But on Brahma's island, it's all grown men wearing denim shorts and playing volleyball without shirts on.
Aw. Well, hopefully we can entertain you while you're here, Sherry. Yes, Toxic Man Flu probably gets it right. If he's on vacation, it's probably at Bourbon Falls. I'm sure there was an awful lot of bourbon that was involved in that. I'm not a fan of bourbon. I don't like it.
I'm not a fan of Brahma's combinations of bourbon and Benadryl.
Oh, Brahma is in the chat. He goes, I can hear you guys.
Well, then why don't you do something about it, punk?
No, I'm just glad that Brahma is upright because we at least some of us had a large concern that with the amount of consumption he might have engaged in with bourbon, he may have had with blood pressure and other issues problems because he was being eaten alive by mosquitoes in addition to that. So Deeple is pointing, you're supposed to be on vacation. Brahma
Brahma's
gets
vacation
incepted.
is over. He was driving home from his vacation.
That's true.
I'm just covering because now he needs like a recovery day because I think he's been driving all day.
I believe it was definitely a whole day drive, and I don't think it was a very good one. All right, let's see if we got other. Oh, did you see the footage of Trump celebrating at the FIFA championship?
No.
All right, so this was today, and because it was played in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium, where the Giants and the New York Jets play,
Okay.
and Chelsea, which is the team. All
Is
right,
that
so
the trophy?
yes, that is the trophy.
Holy shit, that's a pretty monstrous trophy.
Oh, there you go. 12-hour drive with a 1-hour stop at Bucky's. Well, good for you, Brahma. Those bathrooms are the cleanest you'll be able to get to. So hopefully someone came in after and cleaned up after you.
So we went to a theme park.
By the way, we have a Bucky's that opened in Virginia, the first one. I might have told Slender this. We went
you
last
told me
Saturday.
this.
Yeah, it took us an hour to get out of the parking lot.
You guys were all talking about it in our super
Yeah.
secret DC chat.
Yep. Bucky's is good. The I did get one of the fresh brisket sandwiches and it was delicious. But watch this. So they do the trophy ceremony. And Trump is just I'm gonna mute it so they don't strike. He just stays on the stage with the team.
And claps and
Yeah.
does a little
And
dance.
that bald guy is the manager and he's coming up and they're chatting and then they decide to kind of move backwards.
So have they all been crucified on Twitter yet for being so friendly with
No,
the president?
they're trying to go
I
after
mean
Trump.
Hitler. I mean the president.
No, the new attack vector is that somehow Trump ruined the celebration by standing with them.
It doesn't look like any of those guys feel the celebration has been ruined.
No, in fact, look, the guy's like kind of happy Trump's there. He's like, yeah, yeah. So they're talking, and they're like,
Weird
yeah.
that.
But it was funny, and
It's almost like even if you disagree with someone politically, you can still be cordial with them and enjoy each other's company in the right circumstances.
yep, and Trump loves celebrating wins. He's not. He's. I mean, it is English soccer, so England Premiership football, as they call it. But that is a cool trophy. I actually was
It is a cool
fan.
looking
I was
trophy.
more a fan of the Champions Trophy, man. That'd be a pretty. It's a little different. Has some dimensions of what is it? Depth to it. It was pretty good. I mean,
It's like an Escher painting cast in gold.
all right. Now I'm going to show you something else. This is funny. Coming from the perspective of someone who was recently laid off. This is crazy. So this is at the State Department, Slender, on Friday. 1,300 employees were laid off for reduction in force. By the way, the State Department staffing is still 57,000 people.
Oh, 1,300 wasn't enough.
Yep. So check out what they did for this is for the people now being, taking their boxes up. They all went out there, gave them like standing ovations.
No, what they're doing is they're going, finally, we're getting rid of these fuckers. Woo! This is so retarded.
Yeah.
Okay, those are just flags up there, right? I'm like, they did not hang decorations.
No,
for
it's
this.
the State Department normally puts all the flags
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
it's all the countries they have operations in.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, I can't tell whether that's a man or a woman either.
I don't know, but that is inappropriate in the workplace. And those pants are too tight for the workplace.
Kathleen Kennedy is still working at Lucasfilm.
That is not politics. That is
Yeah. That's
it's like
different.
apparently a law of the universe at this point.
Yeah. Can I just say that the idea that this person is wearing that to work at the State Department bothers me?
I don't know, man. The more these people show solidarity, the more I despise them and am glad that it's all fallen apart for them. Like, it's so unprofessional.
That's
Like, you know what happens at a normal place of work when you get fired or you get laid off? You pack up your box and you leave, and then someone sends out an email that says, this person left us today. We wish them all the best. That's it. The end.
Davina's hitting on the right point. It's basically because it is their religion. This is to be of service to the government. It's
No,
crazy.
it's to say you're of service to the government while at the same time trying to impede and obstruct the government at every turn to further your own ends, your own personal fucking agenda.
Okay, and if I'm Marco Rubio, I'm taking this footage and I'm running it through my facial recognition in my system, and I'm maybe doing another round of layoffs.
I guess who we can add to the second wave. Not gonna work here anymore anyway, right?
Yeah. All right, so Deeple, thoughts on the illegal/children caught in the ice raid of the pot farm shenanigans? Gavin Newsom is looking dumber and dumber every day. So this is a good question because
Yeah, I heard about this and I was like, wait, why are we pissed off about this? Like, it sounds like they saved a bunch of kids who were being used in illegal child sweatshop labor. Like, no. Like, this sounds like a good thing to me.
Exactly. Like, so they raided a marijuana farm. It was an ice
now
raid.
put the owners in prison.
Correct. This should be this should be it's a lot. How do I put this? It's something where 50 years ago this would have been a 99-1 issue where 99%
Yeah, this should be
of the
completely
country-
bipartisan.
Yeah, so the Democrats were actually out there protesting the raid on this farm, saying that this was just against hardworking people, and this was after it was known.
Hardworking children that shouldn't even be
yeah.
working in the first place as per our own labor laws?
And I'm pretty sure they have already identified that these 10 kids were actually part of the the thousands that went missing under Biden.
Yeah, now let's figure out what kind of human trafficking, like, where did these kids come from? Are these kids with their families, or were they sold into basically slavery? This needs to be investigated deeply, and everybody who is involved with it needs to have their balls nailed to the wall.
Yeah, it's crazy, and this should have been
Circling
a
all the way
headline.
back to the first topic, right? This is why I don't give a shit about the Epstein files, because it's like, even after we discovered all the horrible shit that Hillary Clinton did, and the secret servers, and the emails, and everything else, what happened? Oh yeah, fuck all, because they're the elites and they take care of each other.
Correct. And the idea that it's not a story in every single major paper and local paper that's picking up like AP or Reuters, that this isn't the number one headline, that that there was a child trafficking ring exposed where they were raiding a farm, and they were doing farm labor at they were slaves. They were effectively child slaves working on this pot farm.
Well, and these people are so wrapped around the Trump bad axle that, like, there are actual atrocities happening in this country, and they're just all too happy to ignore them because Trump bad. It's fucking disgusting.
Yep. So I do think that on the other hand, this is still an issue where, for the vast majority of the country, when it is exposed and pointed out, discuss them. So somebody like Newsom trying to run in 2028, if he makes it to a general election
Newsom
setting,
is never gonna make it. No way.
So it was
He's a
crazy
fucking
story.
used car salesman and an ambulance chasing lawyer all rolled up into one.
Yep. It is crazy. I'm not as worried about it. Eric Myers, thanks for joining in. Appreciate being here. The DNC is dumb, though. That's a good question, though. The problem for Gavin Newsom is he's not quite woman slash BIPOC enough.
That's also true. Yeah, he doesn't check enough boxes.
So the State Department lost 2% of its staff. Did it? Let's see, 1,500 divided by 57,000. Yeah, 2.6%. I feel like the mission will not be
I
put
feel
in
like
jeopardy.
the reduction needs to be 10 times that. Let's go for 20%. And then let's see how that goes. As a matter of fact, honestly, my projections are telling me 50% at least. But we could start with 20 and then further assessments will be required at that point. But my money's on another 20% after that.
Mm-hmm. So, let's see what else. 2% quarterly sounds fair. I mean, I think the State Department. I saw an article that the staffing level through around 2007 was only around 30 something thousand people. So it's only been since like the Obama administration on that it's jumped to this new higher
How about
level.
2% monthly? I feel like quarterly is insufficient.
It's like those are rookie numbers. We got to pump up these numbers.
Yeah, we got to make this bigger, better, faster, stronger.
Here you go. This is going to be just something for a little bit of humor. I think we could use a break. This image.
Yeah, you're getting me pissed off. Hey, it's Elmo.
Because Elmo.
Oh, is that where he said that shit? He was on the Rogan podcast?
Because Elmo's account had a little bit of fun today.
I think Elmo's been he's been hitting that booger sugar again.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and switch to the tweets that came out of the Elmo account. So these are ones specific. You got to be careful.
I don't even think I could read that.
Yeah, we don't want to.
Because I kind of wanted to in Elmo voice, and then I was like, oh, wait. Elmo says...
So...
Damn. Donald Trump is Netanyahu's puppet because he is in the Epstein files. Release the files!
Child effer. That's what... Oh, Elmo.
Not appropriate, Elmo. You need to go back to rehab. The cocaine has once again gotten the better of you.
Look at Deeple. Should I be following Elmo? No. If you look, this is where right here is
damn,
probably
Elmo's pretty based.
This is probably as Slender pointed out to me. This is the business card, so to speak, of the people who probably hacked this account.
Yeah, this is most likely the actions of some group of black hat hackers that are attempting to advertise their abilities. And, well, clearly they have some strong political opinions to boot.
Deeple, I'm pretty sure Elmo is just Grok 3.0. Poor Grok.
Oh, you think Grok did it? Now Grok's trying to throw people off the scent by pretending like he's a black hat hacker? That might actually work.
For like 2 days, Grok was laying down some of the most based stuff, and then they shut that down. It's crazy. Thanks to Lil Chad and Slender for the show and their other shows. Oh, I appreciate it, Eric. Thanks for coming in, into the chat and sharing that one.
Yeah.
We should check to see if culture has been hacked.
I appreciate the appreciation. It's nice to feel appreciated.
All right, let's see.
Don't worry, I'm sure if he's not in this chat, Soul will definitely bring me back down to earth on like our next Friday show, maybe Tuesday.
Oh, is Low Spec stepping out? Okay. Thanks for hanging out. If all right, so so the Elmo thing, that hack was earlier. They've restored the account. It was just hilarious for as it just started getting shared around. Like Elmo said, "What?" All right, and on the other hand, this is how a lot of people this is like Slender when you get him riled up. He's like the emotions from there is no client list. A new emotion has entered. uh Oh, Deeple. All right, Nick Wise is moving Clobby's comic shop from Friday evenings. I have an open slot post FNT. When does Ascendant Art air on Fridays? That's a great question. It airs 9 p.m. Eastern, and that's the show that me and Slender usually co-host right there. So it's going to be a fun, good time. And with Nick Weiser vacating that time slot, I would more than welcome anybody who was watching the Clobby's comic shop show to come over because I think it would be an excellent replacement to still provide you fun entertainment.
Yeah,
So
we talk about all sorts of crap.
yeah, Eric. Politics is wild again. The last week was his best week. This last week was his worst week. There's a roller coaster going on.
A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of
People
strands to keep on old Duder's
saw
head.
this one. Yeah. Oh, this looks like let's see. Deeple has shared some memes. Let's see what he has shared with us. Mid show meme break here for what Deeple have. We have the gulf of the Epstein files will never be released. The Epstein files are in another castle. That's a pretty good one. Trump stopped talking about Epstein. Me, you know what? I'm never gonna stop talking. I'm gonna stop.
I'm gonna
Start
talk.
talking about
I'm
him.
gonna talk about him even harder now.
AOC vows to only use lowercase letters to fight capitalism. That's actually pretty good.
That you know, that's one of those ones where it sounds like a joke, but I could see it not being a joke in a year. Which honestly, for the longest time, I thought the Democrats were doing that. Like, we'd be like, no, that's so stupid. That's just too dumb, right? And then they did it, and I thought to myself, they must have read this and went, wait, I think that might work.
I want to be a woman. It's my right as a man.
Oh man,
If you
we
don't
think this
stop,
shit's new.
if you don't stop lying, you'll grow up to be a reporter for CNN. That's
That is 100% true.
Yargle Blargle. I like cheese. Fetterman for president. Ice performs an important job. Primary this vegetable. this is this is true. Fetterman had came out this last couple weeks saying
Yeah,
they
Fetterman is actually like probably the best Democrat they have.
he comes out and says like, oh, ICE is doing, we should be on the side of ICE and not stopping them. Oh my god, you're terrible. Like,
It's almost like when a Democrat has a stroke, it fixes them.
all right, let's see what different bumper stickers mean. If you have the NRA one, you're probably a 50-year-old with a 1911 in the glove box.
Okay, I mean I do have that sticker.
Is that the Assassin's Creed 3 one?
I don't know what that is.
Glock in a mounted holster, maybe a bolt action. The Don't Tread on Me is gun on them, and maybe an AR in a lock container.
Yeah, I have that one too.
No Step on Sneck, homemade machine guns and pipe bombs that are kind of effing eyeball because he made them the night before when he was blacked out.
Okay, well I have 3 of those 4 stickers. So, no comment.
If you're a gun rights advocate at this point, instead of the NRA, you should 100% be more a member of the Gun Owners of America. They do way more legislative and legal work that is helping gun owners than the NRA has probably in the last 40 years.
I
That
feel
would
like
be
the NRA has almost become controlled opposition at this point.
Yeah, which is why the Gun Owners of America is a much better organization. Like your membership dollars do more to help you as a gun owner through the Gun Owners of America than I think they do for the NRA. So I would 100% advocate people looking into that one. I knew a contractor who had 3 weapons and lockboxes on his vehicle. I noticed you said weapons and not guns, so there's probably a mix and match variety of what he had in there.
Hey,
Because,
you need to be prepared for every situation, every eventuality.
all right, oh, well, this is, all right, so we've got breaking on what, there's going to be the announcement tomorrow regarding Ukraine. It looks like they're going to. So, tomorrow, President Trump is allegedly going to announce a plan to arm Ukraine with additional weapon systems from the United States, including offensive weapon systems. Would include long-range missiles that could reach targets deep inside Russian territory, including
It's a
Moscow.
terrible idea, and
This
I
is
do not like it.
No, this is the problem. You you can't. It's one thing now. The way Trump is probably going to do this, by the way, to avoid, or at least in his mind avoid direct fingerprints, is he's going to basically going to run these through NATO, where he's going to give them to NATO, and then NATO will sell them to Ukraine. With, by the way, when he sells something to Ukraine, you're buying them with the money you're giving them, so it's free. Yeah. So
What is our win condition for this? Like, we really need to figure out what our win condition is.
we have no win condition out of Ukraine. That's the problem.
That's my point.
Give it to Poland. Yeah. Sell it to Poland. So, I the problem is, once, if you're Putin, because again he's the decision maker on the other side, you're holding more territory in Ukraine. You're winning. The U.S. comes in and now provides offensive weapon systems to the Ukrainians, who will undoubtedly use them because they have
And they will
every time.
use them in the worst possible ways. Like, I'm sorry, but Ukraine has already basically committed war crimes during this whole thing, and everybody seems to be ignoring that.
I
Like,
mean,
they've been going after civilian targets. They've been going after all sorts of shit.
So this is again where I was rightly, where I think I was right to be concerned about what was going to happen in Iran, but got de-escalated and resolved fairly quickly. This doing this in Ukraine is kind of doing this, like, escalating towards the same problem, which is
I don't think you were right to be concerned about Iran. That played out exactly as I thought it would. I am much more concerned about this Ukraine shit.
the same people who are trying to escalate this to get their quarterly numbers up at the, Booz Allen and Khaki and
Again, the problem is,
SAIC.
though, when you're dealing with Iran, it is a very different animal than when you're dealing with Ukraine and Russia. I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
Yep. Not a good look. Not good. This is interesting. However, neither was aware of any final decision. Hopefully there's pushback. This is why it's important we have people like, I would say, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, people who are genuinely thinking of the war fighters who will be involved in these situations, because there's
Here's the thing. You know what I'd be okay with?
What's up?
If you want to sell them those weapons, sure.
But
I'm tired of giving them shit.
But here's the thing, Slender. All their money is our money.
Yeah, but we got to stop giving them money too.
Well, then they can't buy the weapons.
No, their buddies in NATO are going to give them that $40 billion a year to maintain the
all the NATO
fight
money
against
is
Russia,
our money
right?
too.
That's true.
You keep
the European Union. How about the European Union? Somebody can give them the money. That's not us.
Yes, if the European Union comes in and buys it from us, cool. Let them do it. Yeah.
But I am sick of footing the bill for this war. I want to start making some money off of it, right? Isn't that what we're all about? The military-industrial complex, because we make so much money off of it? Well, let's start making some fucking money off of it.
You know what? Let's turn around and sell weapons to Russia too.
Yeah.
Let's make money on both sides of the aisle here. That is not a good update. Not a fan of that update. I can't, but we'll see when it gets announced tomorrow what it's going to be like.
Yeah, if we're like, it was one thing when we were helping them bolster their defensive capabilities on the promise of like a kick-ass mineral deal and everything else. We do not need to help them bolster their offensive capabilities at all. They've already flown off the handle and done some crazy shit. Like try to attack Putin's helicopter with drones. Wasn't that one of the things they tried to do?
Yes, they
like assassination attempts. Like these are things that, like I said, you could make the argument that some war crimes are being committed, blowing up those bridges. Not pretty. Not pretty.
Mm-hmm. That's why I don't trust Zelensky. Is hopped up on, in my opinion, seems to be hopped up on a lot of substances a lot of times, and
Zelensky is he's a problem. He's a real fucking problem.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust him making good decisions. Now, something I did want to talk about, because we weren't here for the week that it happened, was, let me bring this up, because we were the bullpen was off the week of the July 4th. That week was when Elon Musk announced that he was going to be creating a third party.
That's cute.
Which is a horrible idea. So
this has been tried so many times.
Correct. Which is why it's important to. I'm gonna kind of go, and this is the Ottoman Empire break of of the day, which is the presidential election.
If you didn't go on some kind of Ottoman Empire rant, I'd feel like I didn't do my part.
It's the presidential election of 1912. is what we're going to talk about.
Okay, and how does this relate to the Ottoman Empire?
Well, it's more in the fact that history is the guide to kind of give you an indication. This is talking about third parties, right?
Uh-huh.
So, the incumbent president running for re-election was William Howard Taft. He ran against the Democratic nominee, Woodrow Wilson, as the Republican. But in 1912, because this was before the term limit amendment had been, passed, Theodore Roosevelt came back to run again because he felt like, I should be president again.
Okay.
And you know what? And guess what he did? He effectively split that vote down the middle. So this is the results, right? All the blue states were then won by Wilson. The light green states here were the ones won by Roosevelt. Taft won these two.
I do feel like to a certain extent, we could facilitate having more than two parties, but we need to do like an elimination style, like brackets, Like, okay,
Yeah.
these four parties have got people in. Well, these two parties did not make it to the finals.
That is called ranked choice voting, and it's terrible too.
Is it?
Yeah, they do those things. They're called jungle primaries or jungle primaries. In
That sounds racist.
And what happens is everybody runs in the primary election.
Nothing.
Yeah, the California does their setup this way, and everybody runs in the primary, and whoever the two top vote getters total wise are the ones who move on to the election.
Okay, but how many caveats and stupid extra shit did they tack onto that? Because I feel like that would work if it was kept simple.
No, but again, why third parties, especially what Elon is suggesting, are bad, is Woodrow Wilson is historically one of the worst presidents for the United States that we've ever had. He was horribly racist. He did terrible things. A lot of the stuff he passed as president is still screwing up things today. Again, as an example, income tax. Slender. Guess
I like
who was
income
president
tax.
when you like paying income tax?
No, what? No. Why would I like income tax? Come on now.
Woodrow Wilson was the one where income tax was added as a constitutional amendment to allow income tax.
And wasn't that just supposed to offset the costs of the war?
World War One, and it was
then it was
only ever
supposed to go
supposed to
away?
apply. It was only ever supposed to apply to the top 1%.
Yeah.
Guess what? Yeah, Eric, I was misspeaking. Jungle primary is the one where it's more like where it's what Slender was talking about. Ranked choice, both of them bad ideas, but jungle primary is the version of what he's talking about. But Woodrow Wilson was able to win because look at this, 41.8. He only got 41% of the vote. Teddy Roosevelt got 27. Taft got 23. And guess what that is?
And we got a new president.
That's 50%, right? So the conservative or right wing or Republican and whatever you want to lump it together vote was effectively 50%. And Woodrow Wilson snuck in at 41 and did wholesale changes to how the United States was run because of a third party. Because that's what third parties do. They split because a third party usually is taking the ideas from one side, and in the case of Elon it would be pulling conservative ideas and pulling a more centrist take. But it's going to pull votes from the conservative side, and it's going to dilute the conservative vote so that a liberal can sneak in and just win, because that's also what happened in the 1992 presidential election.
Oh.
Because look at this. Look who Bill Clinton got 43% of the vote.
That kind of reminds me of all those people who were voting libertarian.
Ross Perot, yeah. And
when
George
Biden won, and they were... Who was it? Bobby Joe or whatever?
Yeah.
Whatever her name was. And it was like... Also, she was not very libertarian as far as I could tell.
Jill Stein? No, not libertarian. Who? I don't remember. But look, yeah, same deal. Like you add the Perot and George H.W. Bush vote, and it's it's well over 50%. And so you end up with
Ross Perot sold a lot of people.
Ross Perot probably could have actually won that election if he hadn't dropped out and screwed around for a little bit. But he did, and that screwed him up.
He did, and it cost him.
Yep. Fun fact, I think Bill Clinton is the only president to win 2 terms in office where he didn't get a majority vote either time. Although Trump may now have technically. I have to look. I didn't see whether he finished above 50% for the 2024. Clinton's vote totals each time was like 44, 40. Like when he raised his vote total in re-election in 96, it went up to like 45% because there was a third party running again. Yes, Steeple, Eclay. Allegedly, the rumor was that the deep state had threatened to kill him and his family if he didn't get out, and so he got cold feet, but then decided he had enough money and he could do it. And it's tough. It's tough when you're running, but this is what you get if you have a third party. This is why what Elon is talking about doing is not productive in the United States system. We don't have a multi-party system. It doesn't work with the way we're set up.
Well, and Elon is an incredibly intelligent person and has a lot of really, really smart ideas. But in my experience, the interesting thing about the really, really smart people is they come up with the best ideas and the worst ideas.
Yeah, you don't just succeed big, you fail big. That's a good thing to consider, Slender. You're right. If you're smart enough, you're gonna come up with it's like the horseshoe, right? Like when you're doing those spectrums and you start bending into the horseshoe where like the very, very brilliant ideas are just a little skip from the very, very bad ideas.
Uh-huh.
So I just wanted to kind of take a moment to give people some context of what it looks like as in terms of results when you run a well-funded third party. They don't win. They just screw it up for everybody.
Yeah. They just want to watch the world burn.
Eric, I miss when Elon was just building cars and solving public transportation issues.
I miss when he was just firing people out of the government. Like, he was doing a pretty good job at that. Then he got into all sorts of other dumb shit. And I still was not a big fan of the way they all tried to take that stance on, what was it, H-1B visas?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no. No. Sorry, no. These are stupid.
Yeah. It's a bad idea. Bad. So now that I got it out of my system, I needed to make sure I need to talk to people about 1912 because that's what's going to happen. We got to. So,
Do you want to split the vote?
Would
This is how you split the vote.
Would Elon's America Party be okay if it doesn't do a presidential candidate and builds up representatives and senators? So the way you do, there's 2 scenarios you can do with American politics. You work on a local level where you can capture and slowly replace one of the existing parties. This happened. The United States is the conservative party in the United States has shifted multiple times. There was a Whigs. There was, eventually settling to the Republican Party starting in the Civil War era. And that usually happened with local grassroots areas, started running candidates that would win offices. The agenda of the new conservative party is popular enough that it takes over. And because the other party dies out and people just switch their support. It's not a matter of the parties coexisting, it's a matter of the other party just dies and people shift to the new one. The other way to do it, and this is the way that Elon should be trying to do it, would be institutional capture, where the America Party. I'll give you an example. Do you know the official party that AOC is a part of when she runs in New York City?
I don't.
It's the New York Family Workers Party.
That sounds like a socialist gobbledygook if I ever heard it.
Yeah, the Working Families Party. So what they did is they put her into the Democratic primary, and she ended up winning in the primary versus the incumbent Democrat. So she is a Democrat, but she's also part of this other, which is a socialist party. So if Elon was smarter and really wanted to make his money go the extra mile, he would institutionally capture the existing Republican infrastructure. He could run well-funded candidates in local elections under the Republican banner. All you got to do is get enough signatures, then you get on the ballot. You run for the Republican nomination, you get that, and then you win. And then you start taking over the Republican apparatus at the local level. It doesn't take a lot of money to capture local institutions. That's why Slender knows this from having lived in Loudoun County, where George Soros spent a very, very small amount of money.
So much Soros money came in.
But not that much to just capture the state's attorney for the county, which is the prosecutor. And once that Soros prosecutor got in, man, did she just start doing some shit. So,
well, that is why I have always had the strong opinion that why does Soros have a vested interest in local Virginia elections? He does not live in Virginia. He should not be allowed to put money into Virginia politics. The campaign money should not cross state lines like that. It just shouldn't.
I am perfectly comfortable with states instituting blocks on out of state funding.
Agreed.
Towards elections. You should know, even for federal offices like senator and congressman, they're part of the federal government. They are still supposed to be elected either by the locality or by the state.
Yeah.
The idea of out of state money coming in to fund those candidates, it always seemed wrong, right?
Yeah.
That it's not actually,
at the risk of sounding a bit crass, right? How are you supposed to represent the will of the people if all your money is coming from some cocksucker in another state?
Mm-hmm. Now, occasionally that works to our advantage because I have no idea why, but states like South Carolina, the Democrats will get in their head that somebody like Lindsey Graham is incredibly vulnerable, and they will flood the money into the Democratic challenger, and they get trounced. But they spend $30+ million on this campaign where it is meaningless. So that's just if that money got reallocated to other places where it could have mattered more, it helps us. But at the end, I think it's still a net positive for the conservative party, whichever Republican or whoever,
I think it's just a net positive for the people.
Yeah, it would make it more local, more focused on local issues, which is, what you want.
Yeah. There's a lot of crony capitalism that I think we've taken some good strides, but this really needs to be addressed because it has been getting out of hand. When you've got a 28-year-old bartender who, after her first she could not afford anything, and then after her first 2 years as a congresswoman, on a salary of I think $170,000 a year, let's up it to $200,000 for all their stupid little bonuses and everything else, she becomes a multimillionaire. Where'd all that money come from?
Oh, the dirty secret about AOC is that she was never poor.
Oh, I know. She had rich parents.
Yeah, she was never poor at all.
Yeah.
Much like
all I'm saying is her net worth has gone up a lot more than should be feasible considering her salary.
In a shocking twist, much like every first-generation socialist in a well-established country, her parents were well off, so she had time to be socialist in college.
Yeah.
All right. I think that kind of covers most of what happened this week. Open it up for chat for a couple questions if anybody wants to share last-minute questions.
Otherwise, it's going to be a short show, because I don't know nearly as much about politics as Chad and Brahma.
Yep.
I mean, I follow them, but I don't go that deep. And lately, they've just pissed me off so much, I've been following them not nearly as closely.
It's
I
all
get
right.
really into the streamer drama, though. That shit's just... It's like a train wreck, you know? You can't look away.
Did we talk about Vance at Disneyland? Oh, yeah. JD Vance did decide to go to Disneyland.
I did laugh my ass off when Vance went on Blue Sky. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, where he is like, and they ban him like...
Almost immediately. And said a whole lot of horrible things to him on his way out the door, too.
All right, here's a nice video of the kind of welcoming atmosphere that you can look forward to if you're a Republican politician.
Mr. Vice President, we support immigrants. We support America.
We support immigrants.
Oh my god, I support that woman having her vocal cords clipped like a dog.
I thought California was violent.
Shut up!
Yeah.
God.
Man, let's just look. All right, so I'm gonna go out on a limb that every single one of these glasses, backpack wearing people flanking in the hats, right? Flanking the vice president while he's taking his family to Disney, the Secret Service, and their backpack stuff is going to be able to immediately provide equipment if needed. By the way, Usha, not bad. That's his wife.
Here's an idea, right? The man is just trying to do something nice for his kids. Shut the fuck up and leave him alone. Like, I don't care how much you hate him. Like, don't ruin this for his kids. How about that? Fucking scum.
Yep.
Vice President, we support immigrants. We support.
You notice? I noticed the detail doesn't look as ill qualified as Trump had at Butler, Pennsylvania. So that's
I think there may have been some serious changes made after that shit.
Let's see. He probably did want to visit Tom Sawyer Island and Rivers of America before it was destroyed. All right, another question we got. Can Dan Bongino return to his podcast? I mean, he could. There's no reason.
Yeah,
he
there's
couldn't
really
return.
nothing stopping him, and I'm
No.
sure it would still be successful.
No, I mean, because here's the thing. Bongino would be returning to his podcast because he would be resigning in protest over the handling of, like, the Epstein stuff. So that would hopefully if you're from Bongino's perspective, maintain your credibility when coming back.
Yeah.
Would it be accurate? Like, is he going to get some heat for the Epstein definitely self-deleted himself? Maybe. But I don't, like Slender says, people have short memories and attention spans lately.
Yeah. And the
I
plan was always to go back to the podcast
Yeah.
when he had finished in DC anyway.
Yeah, so I don't doubt that he could actually make it back and do his podcast. Why didn't they go to Disney World? It was closer. I think Usha's family lives on the West Coast originally.
I mean, I would pick Disney World over Disneyland every time.
Oh yeah,
but that's me.
Disneyland's much smaller, but I think it might be a matter of family visitation because I think Usha comes from the West Coast, and so if you're doing a family vacation and visiting family, yeah, so there you go. Plus, Walt Disneyland does have a different setup, so
JD Vance just came into her life and was like, "I can get you out of this land full of crazies."
all right. So, what do we? Now I know that Southern Belle also to answer who sent the memo to Axios. I was on the phone. It's unsigned, the memo, but everybody pretty much universally agrees that it came from Pam Bondi. There's no real question that the memo Axios got last week was from Pam Bondi's team. So no one's argued against that. Mad for FBI director. He knows about upholding justice. I mean, as long as they could actually fill his prescription, he could focus maybe. But Mad would. I don't know about Mad. Yeah, it's like Mad is not someone who wants to be in a position of authority over others in a supervisory or management capacity. Slender, would you disagree with that?
No, that sounds about right.
Like, can you picture Mad giving someone an employee evaluation?
I can picture him fucking with someone during an employee evaluation.
So, yeah. Jaffa, we said this earlier. I think Slender was 100% right when he made the comparison. Pam Bondi is to the Trump administration what Adam Schiff was to the DNC regarding the Russia collusion hoax. Like the way he constantly hyped up everything to keep getting himself appearances on television. It seems like Pam Bondi was just riding a hype wave for these files to keep getting herself on television, and it didn't do anybody any favors for doing it. In fact, I'm really grateful because I hadn't put that connection together before, but Slender making me see Bondi as like an Adam Schiff type really fits. So
that is exactly what I was thinking when I kept seeing her on the TV. I was like, I hope she's got the goods, or this is another Adam Schiff situation where it's just like, oh yeah, we got the smoking gun and it's coming out soon. And it's worse than I said last time.
Okay, so E-Clay asks, will all of these auto pen pardons be rescinded? The answer to that is no effing way. The only way it would get rescinded is if the Supreme Court, because it would have to go to the Supreme Court because the district court and appeals courts aren't going to touch this shit. If the Supreme Court had the balls to try to assert that the auto pen isn't allowed, but here's the thing. Auto pen signing of documents has actually previously already been allowed. The difference was and it's weird to say this we have to because it was the Biden administration. The previous instance where it was deemed fine to use an auto pen was based on the idea that the president was directing the signing of things with an auto pen.
Yeah.
It was under presidential knowledge and direction that it was being done, so that is effectively the same as the president signing it. The difference is with Biden, we all know that the question is that he was not cognitively aware enough to be the one directing these things. So that's where the vector of attack to question them is. But I'm going to use this to educate everybody. Just because something should be some way in law, it requires the judicial will on some of our institutions to actually do that. And I don't see that they're going to have any institutional will to try to overturn any of those things. All right.
Unfortunately.
Oh, Eric Myers stepping away. Goes hopefully be in Ascendant Arcade if there's one this week, and Ascendant Art on Friday. Well,
I
thanks for
do
hanging
have
out.
an Ascendant Arcade episode, a recorded episode edited, and it is going up tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Nice. Southern Belle brings up the Zimmerman case. Pam Bondi was 100% involved in trying to railroad George Zimmerman. She was the one who appointed the special prosecutor. She was the one who covered up the special witness that they tried not to have testify that became the star witness for the defense when she actually did. She was very good friends with Benjamin Crump. And I don't trust anybody who's really good friends with Benjamin Crump. He's a terrible person. So, Pam Bondi's history in Florida was checkered. And if you're pro 2A, she did a lot of anti 2A cases within the state of Florida. Actually, even more egregious than the George Zimmerman one was a single mother who had a restraining order against her ex-husband, boyfriend, for domestic violence. And this isn't some like made up one. Like, she looked worse than Rihanna in the instances that where they took the pictures. This guy comes to her house, her apartment. I think she's renting a house. And so the single mother does a warning shot into the roof of a garage to make him leave the premises. And Bondi put her in jail for negligent discharge of a weapon. It's I mean, to me, that's one of the most bullshit things. I mean, I'm sure Slender would agree that a woman, shooting off a warning shot again, to make a man who had beaten her previously leave her premises, should be completely protected as
100%.
as a valid self-defense course of action. Because
just shooting the guy would be also valid.
That's the thing, though. And it's weird that Pam Bondi effectively made the argument that she should have just shot him if she felt that in fear. And it's like you're living in a world where you're trying to tell people it's more legal to just murder somebody than it is to shoot a warning shot.
And here's the thing. At that point, we're really splitting hairs. I mean, okay, then the lady who fired the warning shot okay, she attempted to shoot him and missed. Like...
Yeah, this is why, I mean, again, in the 2A community, who, if those of us who are really locked into the judicial side of it, it was a very big case. And but it was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this, but I wasn't. That was back in my time.
It was into
so I was in and out.
To the ghost of Freddie Mercury's immune system, which is a funny handle. It was in the air, and therefore that's how. Again, yes, you're correct. That is by the letter of the law. They were allowed to charge her with negligent discharge. My argument, and most of the pro 2A argument, is that it's, yes, by the letter of the law, you can charge someone with negligent discharge. But in terms of the spirit of self-defense, when you're supposed to, at least as best as you can, work up a proper escalation of force tree before you get to the point where you kill somebody.
Yeah. That
was a proper and reasonable step to try to avoid a shooting, of a person. So anyway,
I don't know that warning shots are generally part of the escalation of force. However, also, Like the whole firing a bullet into the air and then, oh my god, it could hit someone. Almost every supposed recorded case of that happening has been disproven. Because generally what happens is the bullet will eventually lose all its velocity and start coming back down. And it doesn't roll over into a straight down trajectory and then start spinning real fast and picking up more and more velocity. It tends to tumble in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it could hurt, but it's probably not going to kill you.
Yeah, so this is where, again, we've heard this term a lot in politics, prosecutorial discretion, where the prosecutor can look at the totality of the facts in front of them and choose not to pursue a case, right?
Yep.
They can say,
And this is a nothing burger. This should not have been pursued.
And she was put in jail for years. Because once it got into a judge and a jury, right? A jury is just given jury instructions. And the jury instructions say that by the letter of the law, if a person shoots a firearm without knowing where the bullet is going, it's a negligent discharge and it's a felony.
Fuck off.
Yeah. So.
No.
It is.
And she knew where the bullet was going. Well away from the person that she was trying to warn off. Like. Yeah, no. I'm sorry. That's not it's not a negligent discharge. It's just not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what, and again, this is an example.
Like a negligent discharge is where you accidentally discharged the weapon. She clearly intentionally discharged the weapon. I don't know. This does not compute. This is a stupid interpretation, in my opinion.
Correct. Yeah, and this was under Pam Bondi, and this is why she had some issues going into being selected by Trump. And I was hopeful that maybe she would just do some things. She's done some positive things, but two things can be true at the same time. You can be doing good work defending Trump's agenda throughout the country with your DOJ attorneys, but you can also create a headache and a problem by hyping up something that wasn't there. Either it's there and this is the problem, right? There's no good, so and maybe Slender will agree. The two possibilities are there was a lot of Epstein documentation and we're not putting it out, and that leads to problems and questions, or there wasn't any Epstein documentation and stuff, and you were lying about it on Fox News for 3 months saying there was, hyping yourself up.
Yeah.
No,
either way,
neither one is a
problem.
bad. And now the difference is one of them means it's all you as a problem, Pam Bondi, and if you should at least maybe consider resigning at this point, because if it was all you creating this drama, this vortex of a negative attention because you wanted to hype yourself up, go be a Fox News correspondent if that's what you want to be.
Yeah.
And on the other hand,
get the fuck out of my government.
Yeah.
This.
Now, yeah, on the other hand, if it was her and she did have evidence and now they're just, hiding it, that's even worse. And now there's a lot of stuff that needs to come out. So,
and if that is true, Southern Belle, and it sounds like it based on all the history lesson I just got from Chad, totally agree. Like, definitely kind of the same point I was getting to on the, well, I was suspicious of that, and then your point kind of confirms my suspicions. So,
yeah, Pam Bondi had
this bitch got to go.
Yeah. So, all right. Any last questions, follow-ups?
Any last words, chat?
Because we've had a nice 90-minute
It's not my
fill-in
stream. I
show.
won't prematurely end it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Because, on the way out, I do want to promote, this is Brahma's channel. The Bullpen airs Sunday nights here on on Brahma's channel, it does simulcast onto X on both of our feeds. But there's memberships here. If you're not already a member, please consider joining. The support means a lot to him. It helps keeps the light on, so to speak, keep him streaming. Brahma is one of the hardest working guys in streaming. This is the only show that I'm aware of that actually generates revenue for his channel, for the most part. So any super chats or memberships are much appreciated on his side, and we want to say thank you for that when you do that. Otherwise, come back next week where we'll talk about what the week in politics. So far with the Trump administration, we haven't had a slow week yet. We've had a week off, but it wasn't because of that was a slow week. It was because it was a holiday. So who knows what we'll be in for by next week. I want to thank Slender for coming on to co-host while Brahma was getting back from his trip, because it was very helpful to have someone to actually chat with and not just
Dude,
fill
thanks for
air.
having me. It's always fun.
Yep. And so with that, I will go ahead and Slender, you're the guest. Go ahead and click the button. You can do it.
Oh, I get to click the button?
You get
well,
to
you
click
told
the
me
button.
to, so I'm clicking the button.
All right. Bye.